I actually picked this one up really cheap because they said that the bottle was defective. I can't quite see it myself. Welcome back, Dram fans. March is upon us, and that means it's time for March alternatives. And I know that a lot of people are going to be disappointed with that. A lot of people just want to get on with the whiskey reviews. But I also know that a lot of other people are going to be very excited about this. Rum is a big up-and-coming thing. Rum's always been a big thing, but it's probably quality rum's more popular, perhaps than ever before. But I would say that where I am, quality, well-presented rum is definitely more available than ever before. And I think that it's absolutely something that we should all be looking into. It's something that should be covered and talked about, because it has to be said that I do think that a lot of quality rums are offering things that we're not getting from the average Scotch whisky producer. And when there's this whole world of quality rum, a lot of it very affordable and good value, why wouldn't you explore that? So this rum in the famous wonky bottle that I have here, this is R.L. Seale's 10-year-old. It's made by Foursquare in Barbados, and it's a single blend, meaning this is a blend of their own pot and column distilled rum. As you might guess from the name, it has a 10-year-old age statement. It's matured in ex-bourbon barrels. In America, some of you might know, and in other places, you get a 12-year-old version of the R.L. Seals. I don't know why. I don't know if they're similar. I would actually really love to compare the two, but here in the UK, you basically have no access to that 12-year-old. Apart from the fact that we, here in the UK, lose 2 years on this one, it is a very well presented rum though. Like all Foursquare products, it's natural colour and unsweetened, and it comes in at that magic ABV of 46%. This stuff did actually used to be 43% ABV, but they've actually increased it, which I'm very, very happy about. There can be a world of difference between the intensity and depth of flavour that you get from 43% and 46% spirit, in my opinion. And I think that rum in particular can quite often really benefit from a little bit of a boost in ABV. It turns out that Foursquare and Richard Seale have noticed that a lot of enthusiasts and discerning drinkers are really starting to get behind and appreciate their products. So they've improved that presentation to offer something which is what the customer wants. Because when you can see that there's that market of enthusiasts that really care about natural presentation and higher ABVs and flavours, you would, wouldn't you? I mean, it would be insane if there was a portion of the drinks industry that saw these enthusiasts that wanted a better presentation and they just ignored them. You just wouldn't do that. Yeah, so yeah, 46%, very happy about that. Also need to mention the price. This stuff sells for about £50 a bottle here in the UK, which in my opinion, I think it's worth the price. And in my opinion, I think that at £50 it just about fits into that affordable quality rum range. Before I get into the tasting notes of this one though, I think that you can't review an R.L. Seale without talking about the bottle. They've definitely gone all out on this one to give it a proper theme and a look. And to be honest, I still quite like it. It's certainly not going to pick up any awards for subtlety, but it is unique, it's quirky, it's fun, it looks great. I like it. Some people say that it's meant to look like one of those leather flasks that have been used centuries ago, kind of gives you an image of kind of like Jack Sparrow hanging from the crow's nest with one of these hooked into his belt. And yeah, it does have that kind of leather flask look, but if you're familiar with 17th century glassware used for spirits and wine, because who isn't, right? I actually think that it looks a lot like one of those early Shaft and Globe or Glass Onion bottles that were used for the transport of wine and spirits back then. If I can find them, I'll actually put some photos up on screen that I took of some bottles that were recovered from the 1682 wreck of HMS Gloucester, which was a ship that sank off the northeast coast of Norfolk. And when you compare this one to the bottles from HMS Gloucester, you can see that they are a very similar shape. Even the round coin embellishment and the very wide lip at the top that back in those days was used to actually tie the cork into the bottle to secure it. Very, very similar. So, in my opinion, not only does this bottle look absolutely great, but it has some real historical authenticity as well. For anyone that's got some time to kill, HMS Gloucester is an interesting little rabbit hole if you're into that kind of thing. Not only did it nearly result in the death of a future King of England, but some of those wine bottles recovered still contain intact 340-year-old wine. Anyway, that's enough of that. This isn't 17th century wine from the bottom of the ocean. This is R.L. Seale's 10-year-old. Let's get some in the glass and see if it's any good. It's a cork stopper, but it's a synthetic cork stopper, which, as I've said lately, I'm a big fan of. I've had real problems with multiple bottles that have had natural cork stoppers lately, and after having enjoyed a few rums over the last year and a half, I've had quite a few bottles with synthetic stoppers, and I've had zero problems. So everyone is very much welcome to their opinion on stoppers, composite corks, whole pieces of wood and the cork stopper, or synthetic corks, screw tops, plastic screw tops. But me personally, I'm really happy when I see a bottle and it's got one of these synthetic stoppers. It's been a long time coming, and at least as far as we can see at the moment, it seems like a great solution to an annoying problem that should have been put to bed a long time ago. R.L. Seale's 10. So we know that is a natural colour rum. On the nose. Sweet and a little spicy and perhaps a little bit biscuity as well. Actually see a little bit of a common note in this, and kind of the rum casks used on things like the Teeling small batch, because that is finished in rum casks, and I think that sweet, spicy, biscuity note, it's in here a little bit as well. Coconut, biscuity, vanilla, so a lot of casky notes on this one, as well as some orange and elderflower cordial notes, which are probably coming through from the spirit. So yes, this is a little bit of a casky rum, but it's also very well balanced in my opinion. Lots and lots of milk chocolate on the nose, sweet chocolate, praline, quite musty, oakiness. It is definitely an oaky rum, but I actually quite enjoy the oakiness on this one. Quite honeyed. I think that you can tell that the casks in this one, they tell us that they are American bourbon casks, but I think you can also tell that they are definitely American white oak, with all that honeyed sweetness and caramel. All in all though, I think that the nose of this one, it has a very pleasant, intoxicating, slightly solventy, sugary sweetness, which I think is coming through from both the spirit and the cask. And I think that you can tell that it's been made really rich and intense and stronger and full-bodied by that little bit of a boost in ABV that they gave it. Curiously, I think I sometimes detect a slight hint of smoke on the nose of this one. Just a tiny, tiny little background note of perhaps barrel char. Let's see how it tastes. Really very, very good body on this one. Really happy with the intensity of the flavour and the depth and thickness. Just the way that the flavour comes to you rather than you having to look for it. And I think that's both a sign of the quality of the rums that are coming out of Foursquare Distillery, and also a sign that that increase in ABV has had the desired effect. There's absolutely no thinness to this one. You're never left wanting more. Interestingly, on the palate I'm getting more bourbony notes, lots of sweet honeyed American oak, lots and lots of honey, vanilla oak, lots of milk chocolate and a little bit of oranginess, sort of coming together into a Terry's chocolate orange note, lots of caramel, slight nuttiness, and a nice musty, slightly spicy oak note on the palate. Going to have one more sip and look at the finish. I think that this is, despite the fact that it is so full-bodied and intense, it's an incredibly easy drinking rum. I've actually had this one, as well as a little bit of a spoiler, the Dawley's 14-year-old. I've had both of those for quite a few months now, and I've really had to exercise some restraint because both of them just go down so easily. They're just fantastic rums that you find yourself reaching for them again and again. So it has been a little bit of a struggle not to finish this one and the Dawley's 14 off before I got around to the review. As for the finish on this one, sweet and chocolatey, medium long length with a slight dry oak spice note, a little bit of caramel and a distinct spicy oakiness. I think that the profile in this one, it is a massively enjoyable rum, I think by anyone's standards. Whether you enjoy this one over the Dawleys is perhaps going to be a little bit of a matter of preference, but I think that it's at least on par with the more affordable Dawleys. And in particular, one of the things that I really love about this is that it just has so much body. Again, probably partially, well, definitely coming through from the quality from Foursquare, partially coming through from the extra cask influence in this, and also backed up by that higher ABV. Very, very good body and intensity on this one. I'd actually say it's got a single malt level of body and intensity. And this just milk and honey profile that's really easy to love. As for the flavour profile on this one, with that honey and caramel and vanilla and oranginess, it may or may not make much sense to you, but with this one, compared to a lot of the Jamaican rums in particular that are popular at the moment, this one just tastes like quality, straightforward rum. It's not weird or eccentric or funky, and it's definitely not bland and thin. It's just a quality rum. I did actually put off buying this one for quite a long time, and that's because a lot of people, when you look at reviews online, a lot of people say that it's very oaky, with a lot of people saying that it's too oaky, that it's over oaked. And I can understand how people that mainly just drink rum might think that, because as a rum, it is quite heavily oaked. I think this is more oaky than the Dawleys range, with almost a navy rum note at times, but I absolutely don't mind that, and I absolutely don't think that it's overly oaked. I think that anyone that appreciates Scotch and will probably appreciate the cask influence that goes into this one. It's certainly no more oaked than any whiskey matured in quarter casks or virgin oak. So yeah, you can probably tell that I'm quite a big fan of this stuff. I think that it's a fantastic rum, and unless you're really on a budget, it's a great one to have at all times. And me personally, I think that this is going to be the Foursquare product that I buy going ahead. It's going to be the one that I always have in the cabinet. But whether you like this one and the extra cask influence and the bourbon influence or not, I think that if you're looking for an easy drinking, affordable, quality, cask-aged rum, then I think you need to be looking at the cheaper Foursquares like the Dawleys and the Seales, because they're really, really hard to beat. I think that if you do want a slightly more spirit-led, slightly more fruity rum, then perhaps go for something like the Dawleys XO or the Dawleys 12. But I think that if you value a better ABV and the intensity of flavour, as I do, then I think that you can't go wrong with the RL Seales 10, providing that you're okay with that extra little bit of bourbon cask influence. I think this stuff is absolutely worth £50 a bottle, and for me, this is going to be my favourite affordable, available cask-aged rum. So thanks for joining me, and congratulations to anyone that's made it all the way to the end of the first video of March Alternatives. I know that a lot of people are going to be groaning about this one, but it's only for a month. We will get back to the whiskies in 4, maybe 5 weeks. For all of you rum fans out there, you rummans, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of RL Seale's 10-year-old, and in particular, how do you think it compares to the other Foursquare products that you've had? Thanks for watching, and cheers.